All right, welcome to the first of our weekly workshop review videos. In this video series, we're going to discuss basic geoprocessing analysis, and we're also going to use this to some degree as a review of the ArcMap catalog environment. And so what we'll be doing today is going through a scenario and then how we would use geoprocessing tools and the basics of that form of analysis in order to answer a question. So let's begin. First of all, what I want to suggest is that our workshop is going to focus on what we call the analysis toolbox in ArcMap. And in this case, again, what we're talking really about are tools of data extraction, data overlay, and then questions of proximity. In the toolbox, each of these sets of tools has specific functions. So let's take a quick look at those before we get to our question. If we look at the extract sub-toolbox, it has the tools clip, select, split, and table select. Each of these tools essentially is designed to cut data sets, especially feature classes, particularly feature classes that are polygons, although they certainly can be used for line features, to cut them based on another data set. It's kind of, if you want to think about it, most of this is about thinking about a set of dough, like cookie dough, and you're going to take a cookie cutter to it and cut out a piece of it. And so that's really what extraction is about. Overlay deals with taking two sets of data and, in a sense, pushing them together. And generally, we kind of think about overlays as Boolean functions, or Venn diagrams is really another way of thinking about it. If you remember from elementary school, you had two circles and you interacted those two circles, and we talked about both circles and the area of overlap, just the area of overlap, or the area that didn't overlap. And that's kind of what we do with overlays. We take two feature classes or two shapefiles and we ask about their interaction. All right. Lastly, we're going to deal with the question of proximity. Now, there are many actual proximity tools in here. Today, we're only going to be talking about buffer and then multi-ring buffer, which actually create polygons or areas of distance from a source feature. And again, that can be points, lines, or polygons, but these are all vector-based tools. So now let's think of a scenario here. Imagine we're looking at an area in Pennsylvania, and we're interested in aspects of the geography of stocked trout streams. Now, not all trout streams in Pennsylvania are stocked, and so there are some streams that, for whatever reason, are defined as more important or valuable to stock. One might then ask the question, well, where are the stocked trout streams within certain geographies? For example, within certain counties or within certain municipalities. They might be within a certain distance from a location, or they might be within a certain distance from certain features. And so that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today, is how to ask the question in terms of analysis of where something is in the context of something else. So let's look at this a little bit more. If we look at the state of Pennsylvania, these are all of the tributaries, segments of stream that are in fact stocked with trout. And as you can see, there's quite a number of them, and they exist throughout the state in different densities in different areas. Now, in fact, in this case, what I'm really interested in are the trout streams as they relate to specific areas of two counties, and that is Butler and Mercer counties in western Pennsylvania. And so I can think of these geographies of reference perhaps as the counties, but I might also be interested in municipalities within those counties. For example, Grove City, Pennsylvania resides in Mercer County, and Slippery Rock resides in Butler County. So I might want to also talk about, well, which of these streams is in or near those municipalities. Now, one of the things when we talk about environmental data is that sometimes political boundaries, for example, municipalities and counties, really don't correspond with environmental features. And so we might be using geographies that are in fact natural geographies. And an example of that is what we call the hydrologic unit code areas, or HUCs. And HUCs have different hierarchies. In this case, we're going to be looking at what are known as HUC 12s, which are very small. And a HUC can be understood essentially as a drainage basin. Now we could also think about geographies though as in terms of distances from. And we're going to be looking at those stocked streams that are within a 15-minute drive time from Slippery Rock University. And we're going to be looking at drive time polygons. We're also going to be creating a buffer from the local roads within these two counties that is a 100-meter buffer. That is the area that is within 100 meters of a local road. And we can kind of conceive of that as those trout streams that are within a reasonable walking distance of a local road that you might be able to park on. So that's kind of our idea here. Now let's take it one step further. If we think about these, counties, municipalities, and HUCs are all polygons in and of themselves. These are polygons that you could, for example, download or conceive of from a map. Drive time distance polygons are polygons that are created using a drive time tool, and they have a very irregular shape, but they're a derived polygon. In the same way that our 100-meter distance from a local road is a buffer polygon. That is an area that's created from a line. So we can actually think of the drive time polygon as buffers of time distance from a point, and our road distance as buffers from a line. So what I want to do next is think about the process here. And again, just briefly, I'm going to introduce the idea of the process. In order to do this, what we need to understand then is how we might go about the process of dealing with our question. Well, the first thing that I want to say is that we're only interested in things that lie within Butler and Mercer counties. So that's our first thing, and we want to get rid of all of the other data. In other words, we don't want to be dealing with all of the streams in Pennsylvania or all of the roads in Pennsylvania because there's quite a number of them. And so we want to think about this in terms of that's an extraction statement. I want to clip or select those things that are within Butler or Mercer counties. Within those counties, though, I might want to examine how the HUCs, the trout streams, the roads, the drive time polygons, and in fact all streams relate to those two boundaries. And then I'm going to need to create from those roads that I've extracted the buffer. And once I create that buffer, then I'm going to begin to select the trout streams and decide whether I want the trout streams that interact with that buffer distance, simply coincide with it at all, or I'm going to cut out the trout streams that actually are within that 100 meters. I'm going to do both of those things. All right, so conceptually, that's where we're going. So we're going to be doing some selection or definition querying. We're going to talk about the difference between those. We're going to do a select tool versus a select by location interactive. We're going to be clipping, and then we're going to be buffering. So all of these things are going to happen, and then we're going to visualize our results. So that's where we're going to be going in the next exercises. And once you've kind of got this into your head, we're going to see how these tools work. So in the next video, we're going to begin by simply working with our counties. We'll see you in the next video.